Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. This is going to be a video about the event I just ran here at the TSN Arena. This is our first Age of Sigmar event for 2025. Kicking off, we had 14 people battling it out to become the champion over the course of the weekend. It was pretty cool, and if you watch my list video that I did on Friday, you can see there's a lot of Khorne, and there was also a lot of Stormcast in attendance. But actually, I don't think that that's the big story from this weekend. The big story is massive models, and you should stick with me because there's also a kind of surprise at the end. Khorne ended up winning the event. We're going to talk about that with his Stormcast. But like I was saying, one of the key stories from this weekend, I think, is big models. Now, Age of Sigmar 4 has had a lot of criticism when it comes to list writing, and also a lot of criticism from me. I think list writing itself can be a little truncated because you need a hero to lead a regiment and you need some units inside of it. Sometimes it's just the same heroes all the time, and oftentimes it's also the same units. That is sometimes because of internal balance issues and also because the way the list building works. But there is a great opportunity to build some of the freest lists that we've seen ever in Age of Sigmar. Up until 4th edition, you had core requirements battle line requirements for your army. And so a certain percentage was either tax or it was something that you would expand upon to make your army stronger. Obviously, with all that gone away, you can start to run a bunch of stupid lists. First up, I'd like to shout out about Matt. Matt and Greg, actually, who's at the event. Greg, as you may know, if you've been listening to any of my event reports, was playing a lot of Bloodthirsters, specifically 4 Bloodthirsters, early in the edition, playing loads at the TSN, and becoming one of the most successful Khorne players in the world. Matt previously was running a bunch of Varangard in Slaves to Darkness, and as many of you would know, why would Matt even remotely change? He played maybe 3 or 4 events very early with Varangard in Age of Sigmar 4. So why would he change up his army and why would he move over to 4 Bloodthirsters? Because that's what he was running this weekend. Well, because I've probably never seen anyone have more fun than in Game 5 of this event. Matt was running his 4 Bloodthirsters, and Games Workshop seems to want you to run 4 Bloodthirsters because they've made some changes in the latest battle scroll, so one of your Bloodthirsters can gain one of the Honor Guard abilities. But Matt was pushing his 4 Bloodthirsters up against Khorne. Khorne's won 4 games, Matt's won 3. So Matt's got the opportunity to make it so that both of them are on 4-1 and maybe put himself in podium position. So it's a pretty close match. He swings with his second Bloodthirster and he says to himself with his 6 attacks, I'm going to roll 6 6s. And he doesn't do it. But he does roll 4 6s with his Boomthirster. And if you have any idea about how Boomthirsters work, which is a Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage, what happens is every 6 you roll to hit, every enemy unit within 8 inches takes D3 mortal damage. So 4 6s is 4d3 mortal damage to everything within 8 inches. Now, thankfully, Khorne only had 1 unit in range, but it did kill 5 out of the 10 Liberators and also kill the Liberators that he was fighting. So it's just an astonishing amount of damage. But importantly, even though Matt ended up losing the game, even though he ended up losing, the joy that you could see on his face was absolutely electric. And that's why I think he's changed over from running his Slaves to Darkness Varangard with Abraxia and all of it painted up for 4th edition. And he's moved into this kind of lottery army that he only won 3 games with. And Greg, I think he played Greg early on when Greg was running all his Bloodthirsters. And he had a great time. I don't think the 4 Bloodthirster list is like the top end competitive list, but I think you can win 3 to 4 games out of 5 at an event, and that's actually pretty amazing. But most importantly, you're going to be having a great time. The other version of this story is Tom Whitbrook, who played this weekend. Now, I've known Tom for several years, and Tom really enjoys playing with quite cerebral lists. He's played here with Nagash as an example, which, as you know, there's quite a lot happening with Nagash. Loads of spellcasting, you've got Hand of Dust, there's a bunch of stuff to do. This weekend, he took some time out. Brett, his friend, just took some time away and just said, look, you need to become more destruction-brained. You need to run Kragnos and a bunch of Stonehorns and Thundertusks. And as Tom went through all of Saturday, winning the first 3 games at the event, it was quite clear that he was having the time of his life. And I got the opportunity to catch up with him, and talk to him. So we're going to look at that interview now. I'm joined by Tom. Tom has become Destruction Brain this weekend. How's your weekend been?
It's been fucking amazing, actually. Can I swear on this channel? Sorry. Yeah. It's been fucking amazing. Good. I forgot to ask that. Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Great, we're rolling. Actually, it's awesome to be Destruction Brained. I described it to Rob earlier, and I stand by this. It's like drowning in a warm bath, which is once you go Destruction Brained, you're never getting out. You're going to die here. But it's a pleasant, warm bath, so you're enjoying it.
So it's fair to say, this weekend you turned up just with a fun list, going to go crazy, and then genuinely, as well as just being Destruction Brained, what has your journey been, and why are you enjoying it so much?
Yeah, first shout out to Brett, because I didn't even turn up with the list. Brett built, painted the models, brought them with him in his car, so I just turned up with myself. Actually, what I'm finding really fun about it is that it's just kind of like fun Warhammer. It turns out I don't like tricks or thinking or really doing that much other than charging. And charging is really fun. Yeah. And actually, charging is really fun when you do 4 to 6 more wounds on the charge. And you just keep doing that. And sometimes Kragnos will go in and do 30 more wounds to a Bloodthirster. And sometimes he'll get eaten by some dragons. And if you can enjoy both those things and not feel bad or particularly great about yours, I'm not a big brain tactical player because I did 30 more wounds. Yeah. I just had a lot of fun. Yeah. Feel that way, you're going to have a great time with this. If you don't feel that way, you're going to have a bad time.
Do you think there's something to be said for because I've seen you play Nagash and I've seen you play a bunch of different armies over the years and a bunch of different game systems as well. Do you think there's something for your friend Brett being I know what he needs. I need him to get out of his own way. Does that make sense?
It's been so good, actually. And again, shout out for Brett. Just because I think this is entirely my sweet spot. And the closer I've got to just accepting that this is my sweet spot, the happier I am at Warhammer.
Have you got any advice for people that might want to go to events?
Oh, you should just take Kragnos, take 6 Thunder Tusks, and you should have a great time.
Don't think. So I'm sure some people are going to say, I don't like a bunch of big models in a game, Rob. It's kind of a hero hammer thing. And I get it. I really do. But it's the first time we've been able to necessarily do stuff like this. There's the list, obviously, that we saw in the Stat Center the other day with 4 more Crushers, and I think it was Godrak, or it was Godrak and 3 more Crushers, something along those lines. And sure, that isn't going to be to everyone's taste, but Age of Sigmar has definitely moved away from the concept of being a more round-based version of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which is kind of what it was in some stage kind of idea early, and now it's become its own beast. And its own beast definitely is, sometimes it's pushing Croak up the board and doing a ton of mortal damage, sometimes it's dropping some long strikes, sometimes it's fighting with Varangard, sometimes it's doing some really clever stuff with Cruel Boys, but it's also the opportunity to do some really dumb stuff with some really big models, and I do like that that's in there. I think there are people who aren't going to like it, and there are people who are going to really like it. And watching at least a couple of people find their vibe with armies, and the game allowing them to, was super fun. And I think that's my big takeaway from this weekend, is watching people play the armies they want to play in a way that they get to play it, which feels like a positive for the game. Also, it seems other people don't mind playing against it because Matt won Best Sports at the event with his Bloodthirster list, proving that you can want to take skulls but also be just a super nice guy. The winner of the event, though, was Colm. And Colm had got a really interesting Stormcast list because Colm, for a couple of years now, has always run kind of edgy Stormcast stuff. When he was giving me a load of shit on the internet, when Evocators on Dracolines were kind of having their time in the sun. He also was running Paladors early in Age of Sigmar 4 before a bunch of other people were. And now his Stormcast list that did well this weekend featured 2 units of 10 Liberators. If we take a moment to look at his list, we can see that he's running the Lightning Echelon, and he's taking the Manifestation or the Primal Energy. He's got Lord Celestial and Stardrake with a Quicksilver Draft, which gives him Strike First, and the Envoy of the Heavens. He's got a reinforced unit of Stormdrake Guard, a Knight Arcanum, and then 2 reinforced units of 10 Liberators, and then a Lord Relictor, another unit of Liberators, and a unit of Vigilers. The new Battle Scroll has obviously opened up the opportunity to take that unit of Stormdrake Guard and give them the Honor Guard ability, so they'll always get that natural +1 to hit, which is pretty good. Double that up with a Stardrake that's got Always Strikes First, thanks to the Quicksilver Potion, and can eat big models. And you've got a really good combination of things to start doing output. So then you need to have units that can start grabbing objectives. And Liberators, when you stack them up to a unit of 10 and they're cheap enough, pretty good. Con was also telling me that he also picked them up really cheaply online because no one wants them, because they're in the launch box and Liberators aren't very good. which is, I'm sure, something I've actually said. So I think he's not taken them just to prove me wrong, but he has also proven me wrong. So I think that's a really fun storyline as well from this weekend, is watching Liberators do well. This video probably will say as a thumbnail, Liberators are back. And they might be back, which is pretty fun. Taking a look at the coolest armies, and the ogres belonging to Tom took first place. They're all 3D printed, which is ace, and he's obviously got a really bright color scheme. This is coolest army, so it's player voted, and he's got that big medieval vibe on all of the ogres, and a giant homemade, custom-made incarnate, which is a big rock idol with a penguin on, which is just super cool to see. I got the opportunity to catch up with Tom and talk to him about his ogre army, and let's see what he's got to say. Nice. I'm joined by Tom, and he's been playing the event. How's it been?
It's been great.
Yeah?
I lost most of my games, and it was great.
You were running a big, beefy bunch of ogres. Can you tell me why you decided to bring them and what you like about them?
I love the models. Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing. Like, it's always hobby first for me.
Yeah.
I don't play armies that I don't like. It's really easy. It's 4 War Scrolls. The heroes just walk in behind. It's got one job. It's like, wait until you can get everyone in and then just try and yeet in. It's a really super fun play style because it's just leg it and then smash things, and it either works or it doesn't.
Were there any particular favorite moments from today? Oh, the weekend.
There's a couple of fun plays with impact hits and then power through.
Okay.
That's good. Like, I did in my 4th game, impact hits, then the combat, then feast on flesh, then power through, and that was enough to just pip over at the end and do the bit of feast on flesh that everyone forgets, where you get +3 control, or +1 control per model, I think it is. I had 3 left, and it was just enough to tip the objective in my favour. That was a nice moment.
I think more than anyone, you'd be a really good advocate for coming to events, and not necessarily just here. What's your kind of experience with generally playing at events, especially engaging with people? Because it's something you do a lot already in your job. What do you think about the people you meet and that kind of experience for you on a personal level?
It's great. You meet a lot of people you wouldn't otherwise meet at all. How much crossover is there between Warhammer and folk music, which is what I do most of the time? Not a lot. But yeah, you meet all kinds of different people who you wouldn't otherwise meet. It's great. And people always talk about it, but the way that having a thing that you're both focused on makes it easy to just chat. Because it's not just, I'm sat looking at you and thinking about what to say. I've always got more dice to roll. I've always got to think about what I'm going to do next. But also we are going to chat what do you do? Where'd you come from? All the things you talk about with a normal human.
Perfect. Do you have any hobby goals? What else are you going to work on this year?
The next thing's monster trucks.
Really?
Do the stone horns. I think it's a fun list. I don't know if it'll stay good. It's good at the moment. I've done one, which is a big Highland cow with more of the ogres from the same as Gluttonous on it. That's done. The max on that, Tom and Brett and I were doing Theorycraft earlier, the max is 8 of them and Kragnos. That's a lot of painting, a lot of printing. That'll get me through. I'd really like to do an Ideneth army. It'll be bad, but the thing I'd really like to do is Fall of Idons, 4 turtles.
Perfect. In second place for coolest army was Andy's Stormcast. Andy's got just one of the neatest and sharpest Stormcast armies around. All the lines are really well done, and it's quite clear he takes it very seriously. And he also runs a YouTube channel called Andy2D6. If you want to check out, he definitely will have a report about his army. Our winner Colm also has a very cool green and bone Stormcast army, which I think is just super fun, and it is nice seeing all those Liberators. In third place for coolest army, we had Mark's, I think, stunning Seraphon army. All the details were really super nice. I really like the Bastiladon because that's super hard model to paint, and they just all look great. Here's also a shot of what 4 Bloodthirsters look like. It's actually quite intimidating when you see it on the table. A special shout out to Greg, who's running some really old juggernauts in this other corn list. And I was a really big fan of George's OC Bone Reapers list. He did a really beautiful blue on it that really made it pop. We introduced a new category, actually, for our events here at the Arena in 2025 for Best Single Mini, which is, I think, really important because we do Coolest Army, for which is player voted, and it's cool. It's not necessarily the best painted. So doing a coolest single mini is really fun. And actually, I found that quite challenging to judge because those centerpiece models are really attractive, like Catacross as an example, or Croak. But then you're kind of skipping the Skink Priest or, like a single Knight Palador that was done really well. So I can see why Games Workshop, or at least maybe like some designers, really want the game to be like a centerpiece edition because those centerpieces look amazing on the table. Our first place single mini was Mark's Lord Croak, which I thought was brilliant. It's obviously an incredibly challenging model and pretty scary to do, but I think he did a wicked job. It was just super neat. In second place was George with his Liege Cavalos, which I thought was an ace model. I was going to pick the Catacross because it's kind of similar, but the Liege Cavalos is something I think some people would skip, and I think he did a really good job on it. And in third place for single coolest mini was Andy with his Ynastra, which I thought was really neat, very cool, and I'm a big fan. I got to say, for 2025, that's kicked me off exactly how I wanted for Age of Sigmar and Age of Sigmar events. I'm really excited about the stat show I'm going to get to do tomorrow. I'm really excited to hear about other people's experiences on the tabletop because my takeaway from the weekend is there were some really cinematic and epic moments. I think some of the War Scrolls for Age of Sigmar and some of the list building, some of the other elements can feel a little bit thin and not necessarily quite as deep and complex as I necessarily want it to be. And I think some people are feeling that as well. But watching or being a part of 14 people playing Age of Sigmar over the weekend was 14 people having a really fun time. And I got to say that that's a really cool thing to see. And so, like, the online discourse about Age of Sigmar might be very different to your in-game experience playing Age of Sigmar, which, based on the event I had this weekend, was brilliant. If you ever want to come to any of our events in the future, you can find them on the tsnarena.com. I'd love to see you, which is cool. Oh, I forgot to mention the rankings. We're doing rankings now at the venue, which is cool as well, where we are taking your sports votes, your gaming score, and also your coolest army votes. And we're kind of creating a ladder over the course of the year, which I'm personally quite excited about because a lot of people come to the arena all the time. So it's a nice way to kind of reward that. But it's also nice to see who's kind of like topping the table at the moment, which currently is Colm. He's currently the TSN Arena champion, which is cool. So I really enjoyed this weekend. Super excited about Age of Sigmar. Really looking forward to putting some models on the table myself. I think I've got an event booked in at the end of January for me to play, so I'll let you know more about that. But it's been really fun, super enjoyable, and I'm really looking forward to, just being more involved in Age of Sigmar this year. So let me know if you're going to go to an event, if you've played or anything like that. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone who played this weekend because they gave me a lot of really good energy about the game and about playing and the community. And sometimes it's a bit of a two-way street. Your comments that you leave in the YouTube comments, people on Patreon, all those sorts of things, it's kind of a two-way street, right? I'm excited about playing, getting stuff on the table and doing stuff, but it's also nice when other people are and it's reflected back at me because then it feels like we're all building each other up, which is fun. So had a fun time. Hope everyone had a fun time. And I'll see you soon.